Day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for February 19th, 2025. Today I have spelled everything right in the YouTube title. I have made it so that I cannot be made fun of today, and I'm feeling good about it. Yesterday I put Gin and Chris instead of Gwen and Chris, so it's going to stay there forever. It really is. I have Frank Marchese in here with me right now. Don't worry, people. Don't worry. Nick Pavetta cannot be signed twice. So you're okay for tonight. You're okay. Frank's going to be nice, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. Frank was having fun last week a little bit, and, we'll talk about that in a little bit because we have lots to talk about here. And the first thing I just wanted to get into right away was this quote from Jackson Merrill. And if I didn't think that Jackson Merrill could get any cooler, he goes and he does something like this. He said when they asked him about what he's looking for in spring training, what he's looking for here this year, he said, I just want to get better. That's the way I always am. I look at things and I always want to get better. Jackson Merrill continues to impress me. And even though he just said something like that, after what we saw last year, 100% believe what he is saying. And I've talked to a few people who have seen him throughout the offseason, and they are saying that he's ready to go. He's looking lean. He's ready to play some baseball. And Jackson Merrill's absolutely one of those guys this year that is going to have some pressure on him. Last year, we came into the year after Jackson Merrill had a pretty good spring. We said, hey, this is great. If Jackson Merrill plays well for a little bit, we have to also cheer him when he's slumping. Well, last year, he didn't really slump all that much. He, had his certain moments where he wasn't able to, hit and he wasn't able to get on base. But those were very, very short-lived. And it's something that I think us fans, I think we need to temper our expectations a little bit for Jackson Merrill, because I know that it's difficult for people to think that Jackson Merrill is going to repeat, he's going to repeat what he did last year. Some people say that it's a failure if he doesn't get better from what he did last year. I'm not going to say that because Jackson Merrill was above and beyond last year, but he does come into a year where he has a little bit more pressure. He was a guy last year who kind of didn't have many expectations. He didn't have these sort of pressures that he's going to have this year. And I love that about Jackson Merrill. He's always ready to take on the pressure. He's always ready to punch the pressure in the face, just like that. Boom, punch it in the face. But Jackson Merrill is starting off today's show because I think Jackson Merrill is awesome. Now, the Padres in general today, not really much happening at all today. No signings. There was the whole thing with Yu Darvish and the automated balls and strike system. Go to our Twitter at 973thefan because that will tell you exactly what we're talking about here. But unfortunately, when we're talking about this, it has a video to accompany it. But 973thefan on Twitter if you would like to see this. But it's like this. It's Sammy Lev videoing, recording. You can't say filming anymore, Frank, because there's no such thing as film. So I don't know what to call it anymore if it's recording. But Sammy Lev's recording right behind the batter. Yu Darvish throws the ball. It's inside. The ball is inside. They tested the ABS automated ball strike system. The batter hit his helmet twice, and then they went to the review. In about 5 to 8 seconds, it was done. They said that it was a ball. After the fact, Yu Darvish said he's not a big fan of the automatic balls and strike system. That's also on our page, but it's a short clip, so I'm not going to play it here. But he did say he's not a fan of this system so far. Chris, not a fan of the system so far. I'm definitely a fan, and I didn't get a chance to tell Chris this, but I want to know how long it took him before he was okay with things like the pitch clock and the ghost runner. Even though the ghost runner, somewhat strange, I'm fine with it during the regular season. Fine with it. But this whole automated ball strike system, all for it. Let's go. Teams get 2 challenges per game. If you win your challenge, you keep your challenge. If you lose your challenge, you lose your challenge. So you could potentially keep reviewing pitches if you think that it's the wrong call that the umpire made. Now, is this going to change how we play the game of baseball? I don't think it's going to change how we play the game of baseball. Chris was maybe not going as far as to say this, but he was thinking possibly that players will use the challenge on a close pitch just for strategy purposes. Like, I'm not going to protect the plate. I'm going to see if it's a close pitch. Okay, close pitch, I'm going to challenge it. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I mean, if you're not going to swing at a pitch just because you want to challenge it, then what are you doing at the major league level to begin with? I don't think this is going to have any effect on the day-to-day operations. It's not going into effect this year. It's only going to be happening in spring training this year. So maybe next year, but I am not at all opposed to the automated ball strike system, especially in the challenge format. Let's bring in our guy, Frank Marchese. Frank, what are you thinking about the ABS system? Do you think it's going to change the game? Because, as I just said, I don't think so.
I mean, it'll definitely change the game. Will
it change the fabric of the game?
Oh, no, not at all. It's about being more accurate, and especially in this day and age where everything is done in replay and you can see everything in super duper stupid slow-mo. And everyone wants to make sure you're getting everything right, and this is a way to do it. And it's going to be frustrating, much like you, Darvish's comments earlier today. He said that in jest, jokingly, I think. But it's definitely going to be a change that these guys are going to have to get used to, but I think they'll come around to it pretty quickly once they figure it out.
Yeah, I think they'll come around pretty quick to it too. And I think this is just going to be something that is new in the beginning, and they'll just become normal like the pitch clock. It's the whole fascination with making everything perfect. I don't understand when people say, I don't want the robo-umps. I don't want the replay system. But then they're complaining about a call that isn't made because the umpire or whatever makes the wrong call. Like, this is not going to replace umpires. They are still going to be there. The human element is still going to be a part of this because there are going to be pitches that are close, that aren't challenged, and it could be a ball that's called a strike or a strike that's called a ball. That's still part of the human element. I don't think this is baseball trying to sort of change the way we do things just to get into the 21st century. I think this is baseball trying to catch up with some of the other sports.
No, and that's something that Major League Baseball has been very, very clear about ever since the start of this idea, was that it's going to be an aid to the umpires and the players. It's not going to be a replacement. You can lean on it for help, but you're not going to be able to lean on it to make every single decision.
The umpire's still making the call.
Yeah, exactly. And
Regardless.
as far as I've heard, there's going to be limits on how often you could use it. There's going to be limits on when you can use it, how many times in at bat you can use it.
Only we had this question earlier. Sorry to cut you off, Frank.
No, you're good.
Pitcher, hitter, catcher. Not even the
Each get
manager.
one.
No, those are the 3 people that can challenge.
Okay.
And there's only 2 per team. So the manager can't even call for a challenge.
If it's 2 per team for the entire game, or 2 per team
2
for
per
the
team
inning?
for the entire game. If you get it wrong, you lose your challenge. If you get it right, you keep your challenge. Kind of like football.
That's such a minuscule change.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only going to use that in the biggest moments.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to use it on the 4th pitch of the game.
No, unless it's something egregious
a big
and
moment.
You got situation. Top or bottom of the first, Padres are up. They got guys on second and third. It's 2 outs, full count. Pitch, close, called a strike, inning over. Then you use it. if you think it's a ball, then you use it because then you're on base and you continue the inning.
There's gonna be so many calls like that throughout the game. There are gonna be times where you're gonna have to eat it.
You're
gonna have to eat a bad call at points. I would hate to think anyone would ever use that in the first inning unless you're down, unless you gave up like 3 or 4 runs in the top of the inning and now you have the bases loaded, like you said, you're down a run. But I wouldn't think anyone's going to use it early.
I think I could see like game 102 and someone's very upset about something that happened in the first inning and they're going to use their challenge. It's going to create some great drama this year.
Yeah,
Remember
definitely.
what happened when they started checking pitchers? It got to the point where Max Scherzer was taking his pants off because they wanted to check his belt and everything else. And pitchers are going to hate this. You Darvish.
I mean,
knows.
unless pitchers get on the right side of it,
that's true. KG has a funny suggestion or comment. Instead of us getting unreasonably mad at a human in front of us, we can all delve into conspiracy theories about the program being compromised in favor of particular teams, which is true.
Hell yeah.
You know what they're doing right now? They're making sure that the Dodgers get all the calls. That's
of course,
exactly what's happening right now.
Yeah, that's the number one on the priority list as far as the programming is concerned.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to have the Dodgers there, and I'm not going to do this the whole show, but I'm going to get a little. I was triggered by some Dodgers stuff today. I went to MLB.com, and all of the stories were of the Dodgers, and I couldn't handle it, and I clicked out of there real quick.
I mean, who doesn't want to see 5,000 unsolicited pictures of Shohei Ohtani's dog?
Well,
who doesn't want to see that?
I kind of do like Decoy a little bit, but
yeah. I'm
yeah.
just saying. Like,
I would much rather stay away from this Roki Sasaki stuff. Like the article right now up there is everyone watching Roki Sasaki throw his first bullpen.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. That's awesome. Love it. Okay, cool. Yeah, there is a part of a spurned fan over here in me. And so that's why if you're with me, you are with me. But when you're against me, you are very against me. And that is why I am cheering against Roki Sasaki this year. And don't get twisted, everyone. I'm not cheering for injury, okay? I know someone said that to me. I'm not cheering for injury. I'm just cheering for him not to be very good.
By the way, in the chat, I said dog, D-O-G, and I'm seeing the picture now on MLB.com. Do you have enough reporters back behind home plate? Like,
exactly.
For real?
Thank you, Frank. It's pretty ridiculous. I understand it's a big deal. I do. But I feel like it's just a lot. Joseph said this baseball season is going to be all Dodger talk. No, it's not. We're going to handle this baseball team how we handle it every year, which is talk about the Padres, and when they play the Dodgers, we talk about the Padres playing the Dodgers. The closer we get to the year, the more I am buying into the philosophy of you have to play the games any given Sunday in football.
It's kind of the point to a season, no?
Yeah.
You play every game.
Yeah. But Chris actually proposed this earlier. If you were to say there's one true thing about next year, and that would be the Rockies are going to lose more than 100 games. Would you put a bet on that? Is that the most sure thing in baseball? Not even the Dodgers winning the World Series is as sure as probably the Rockies losing more than 100 games.
I take the under on that, actually.
You take the under on that. Okay.
You're gonna accidentally win a couple games.
What was their record last year?
Like you are going to fall into winning a couple of games. They were 61,
62 of them.
They were 61 and 101 last year.
Okay, that's closer than I thought. I honestly thought they were like 110 lost range. But
no, it was 101 last year.
You know what I see right there, though, Frank, in this 2024 standings? Padres win 93 games. No one would have ever expected the Padres to win 93 games. I'm buying into it. I'm ready.
I can read numbers, too.
I'm ready to go. I hope you can, Frank. I hope you can. All right. This is the Skraby Show. That's Frank I almost called him Manikazi because that's what Tony calls him. We are going to be with you until 7 p.m. and then it will be Sam Levitt and Frank going from 7 until 9. Sammy from Peoria. We have a lot to go here. I want to actually get into in the last segment because I know Sam's coming up. This story about former Dolphin lineman Jonathan Martin. Do you remember this, Frank, at all? Richie Incognito.
Oh, yes.
So,
That I do remember.
Richie Incognito, basically, he got kicked out of the league for quote-unquote bullying Jonathan Martin. And this story has gone really quiet. And I don't know why it's so quiet, but Jonathan Martin admitted that he lied about being bullied during this whole thing. He said that, I'll get into it later, but I want to get into this. It's very interesting. Richie Incognito makes great points. Jonathan Martin makes somewhat okay points. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But on the other side, I give one baseball player a really, 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 really hard time. But I think it's time to credit him for one thing, Frank. And I'm going to tell everybody next on the Skraby Show. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I had to. Today has been an energy-filled show. I wasn't actually thinking that it was going to be because Chris had his game that he called this morning. He volunteered this morning. He ran into studio at like 1:57, looking like a chicken with his head cut off because he was running in circles. He didn't know what to do. But he came in fiery. He came in hot. He does not like the pitch ABS system. And I got a few questions about that. The pitcher can challenge. So it's not like it's just a hitter thing. So if a pitcher throws what they believe is a strike, umpire calls it a ball, the pitcher can do that. I'm going to need to get into the nitty-gritty of the rules. Maybe that's a text I need to send to Jesse Agler. He would be a really good one to know about all this. Because it's like, okay, does the pitcher get 2 challenges, or the team plus, so it's pitcher and hitter, they share the challenges? I got to figure out a couple more things about this whole.
I'm sure he'll tell us all about it in 2 days.
He probably will, because it's going to be featured during the game, and they're going to at some point have it. So, and that's right. Good job, Frank. We are carrying the first Padres spring training game this Friday on the station. Starts at noon. I forgot about the 1 hour ahead in Arizona thing earlier, but it's going to be noon here, and it's going to be right on 97.3. Chris and I are going to take over right after that whole thing. Or actually, no. I need to figure out the plan for Friday. I'm sorry to bring it up, everyone. But they're going to be playing the Mariners, and we're going to see it. But there's still some more things I need to figure out with this automated balls and strike system, which is also good. I have a full year before I really need to have this down, because it's not going to be put in just yet.
Well, really, you've got 2 days because it's going to be used during spring training.
Spring training doesn't matter, so I say give everyone like 1 million challenges and just see how it works out. That would take, spring training games, let's see.
Spring training for everyone.
Regular season average, 2 hours and 37 minutes. Spring training average, 4 hours and 37 minutes because of all the challenges. I can just see it now. Frank behind the board. And it's the 9th inning of a spring training game. Padres lead 13-0.
Started at 1. It is currently bloody north, 10:42 p.m.
It will never be like that, hopefully. They don't want to mess with the pace of the game now. It's really quick. For all of you who haven't seen the video, just go 97.3 The Fan ST. All right, before break, I said there's a player out there that I am pretty mean to and hard on all the time, and I think it's time for me to give this person an apology. I'm sorry, Mike Trout, for being such a jerk over the years. I know that injuries are something that you don't really want to happen. I know that you just want to play baseball. Problem is, everybody told me that you were the greatest player of all time years and years ago, and so I started believing it, and then you started missing games. And when you are on the field, you are indeed one of the best baseball players of all time. But here's where I owe him an apology. And the apology is owed because Mike Trout is all for moving to right field this year. And we talked about Rafael Devers earlier, and we talked about how the Red Sox want Alex Bregman to play third base because he's better at it. And Devers said, nope, I'm a third baseman. I am playing third base. What about DH? Nope, I am a third baseman. I am in the lineup. Now, we talked about it earlier that we don't really know what kind of conversations the Red Sox had with Rafael Devers. Maybe they didn't even tell him that Alex Bregman was coming in. I would find that hard to believe. Or maybe they thought he was going to be cool with it. Or maybe they thought he's under contract and we don't really care what he has to say. He's going to do what we tell him to do, which isn't really the right way to handle these things. But Mike Trout is a center fielder. He's won MVPs playing center field. And he said, right field, if that is the best spot for me on this team, that's what I'm going to do. And I have to credit him for that. It's not easy. Obviously, some guys don't want to move. Some guys are okay with moving. I think maybe the outfield, and I'm saying this with no major league experience whatsoever, but I think maybe the outfield's a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but it's a little bit maybe less experience to play the out. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, I can't imagine playing third base and being an outfielder and having one of those 105-mile-an-hour rockets coming at me down the third base line. So if I'm an outfielder and they're like, hey, you're better at third base, why do I want to go to third base? I'm going to get hit in the face by a ball. It's going to be terrible. And I'm going to look like an idiot. And my career's over now because you put me at third base. Mike Trout says, I don't care. I just want to play.
Well, he's going from center to right field. He's not going
That's
from
what I'm
the
trying to say.
outfield
It's a
the
little bit
infield.
easier, but he's going to have less running to do. He's going to have less running into the wall, they hope. They hope that he's going to be healthy this year.
He's also got a big problem that he's got to worry about as far as that right field corner because the wall is hip high now. It's not over his head. It's down at his hip. So he could run into it and end up in the second row.
You know, I tweeted out a picture it was one of those fake MLB accounts. I think it's MLB on Fax.
Yeah, I've seen their stuff.
And it was the Angels debut their new City Connect jerseys, and it was just
all
bubble wrap.
Yes.
Which is really, really funny.
But I mean, going back to what you were saying about Rafael Devers, I mean, the Red Sox, if you look back at it, they have a history of doing that kind of stuff. Because you go back to what was the documentary that just came out about them, the 2004 team? It was on Netflix.
I don't know the name of it, but I know what you're talking about.
They did the same thing with Nomar Garciaparra. So they have a history of signing guys, of offering them the world, and then saying, no, now you're going to do this. Because there was a good time. There was the reason why Garciaparra got traded in 2004.
Because he wanted out.
He feigned. Well, there were a couple of times where he exaggerated the extent of his injury. And then, as far as the documentary said, they were like on the doorstep. It was 11:59 on them getting Alex Rodriguez before somebody, I think it was Kevin Millar, mentioned something and the whole deal fell apart.
Kevin Millar's to blame for that?
I think so. I think he went on some television show, I think, and he was asked about who would you rather want? Would you rather want A-Rod or Nomar Garciaparra as your teammate?
Oh gosh, and he said Nomar?
And he said no, he said A-Rod.
Oh.
So that was part of the reason why Garciaparra got traded, was he felt as though the team didn't really care about him anymore. He knew the front office didn't care, but the players now are saying it.
I mean, I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either.
If someone on this station was like, yeah, I like another radio host in town over Skraby, I'd kind of feel some type of way. Like, I don't care if you think I'm a good radio host, but you have to have my back if you're on my team.
Yep.
You can't talk. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean,
it was a great series. It really was.
Yeah, I need to watch it because those are always fun, those Netflix things. Here in San Diego, though, I hear people give Xander Bogaerts a hard time for him pushing back when he went from shortstop to second last year and he's back to shortstop this year. I don't fault Xander Bogaerts for last year because when I heard him talking about it, they literally told him the day of him talking to the media. So he had zero time to process this. Also, he was coming into a season where he thought he was playing shortstop and he had trained all offseason playing shortstop, and then all of a sudden he's going to play second base, which I think Xander played a pretty good second base for being someone with being someone who didn't expect to play second base. But Xander Bogaerts, to me, is one of those team players. He's a guy who did what was best for the team, wasn't necessarily happy about it, but he ended up doing it, and it seemed to work out, and now he's back at his position.
Yeah, and the title of the documentary is called The Comeback.
Oh, yeah.
It's about the 2004. They go through 2003 also, but the 2004 Red Sox who won the World Series. But yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. And again, this is why it's kind of hard to promise players stuff.
It is.
Because you never know what's going to happen that's going to cause that to change.
That's why some players have things written into their contract so that a team cannot go back on it. Like, I am your third baseman when I'm under roster unless I want a DH only type of thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some of that stuff being put in contracts.
Yeah. I mean, especially with, again, Bogart said over and over and over that it wasn't as big a deal as everyone was making it out to be last year as far as the position move. But everything we've heard, he was really irked and annoyed by it. He's back in his position. It was only a 1 year. It's a temporary move. And honestly, if he's still young enough and still athletic and mobile enough to be a shortstop in the major leagues, without a doubt.
I think he's going to be better this year. I really do.
I
said it last year.
This last couple of years, you can't really go anywhere else but up. But
I know. That's why if I say it, I can only look like a genius, hopefully.
I can't see him having a year this year as bad as he had the first 2 years here. I just can't see it, especially now that this is the first offseason in a good 5 years that the Padres have had a normal spring training.
Yeah, that's true.
First time in years that the Padres have had a normal spring training. No World Baseball Classic, no lockouts,
Korea.
No international series to open up the year a week early, no COVID.
I'll even go back
to normal.
The spring training where on the first day we learned that Fernando broke his wrist.
Yes.
And that was a major bummer.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, they're actually saying this? Was that Bob Melvin's first year too? Well, that's a hard thing to deal with.
No, Bob Melvin's first year was the lockout year, was it not?
I don't remember what year
I think it was, because that was my first year here too.
Okay.
Was the lockout year.
Okay. That 2023?
Yeah. No, it's 22.
22. I guess that makes sense because Mike Schilt was 24. Yeah, so he came in and boom, Fernando hurts himself.
Well, dadgummit.
Dadgummit. I remember sitting down on my computer. I'm not kidding. I remember like it was yesterday.
I thought it was a joke.
Like, spring training is here. I'm gonna see some Padres clips from Sam. I'm gonna dance over to my seat. Oh my God, Fernando's hurt! What the heck? That was 2 years ago, by the way. Fernando is fine nowadays. All right, here we go. It's time for break. On the other side, we have to talk about Jonathan Martin. And I'm also going to tell you about an X post that fooled a lot of people and also someone fighting for bearded guys everywhere. All of that's next on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. to sing all the things. Why do I have Chris Ello up on this screen? I can't stand it. There we go.
I was trying to change it last segment, but it wouldn't let me change the thing.
I know why. It's because I haven't put my things into my Skraby Show folder on StreamYard.
Goober.
It's, it's something that Matt Skraby does very well, and that's procrastinate like crazy.
Be a goober?
That too. That too. You're listening to the Skraby Show. That's Frank Marchese. It's 97.3 The Fan. Padres Spring Training. Sammy Lev in 20 minutes. We'll be joining you from Peoria. He'll update you on everything that he's been doing out there. He'll talk, I'm sure, about the automated balls and strike system. I'm sure he'll talk about some of the signings. So Sam will join you all at 7 p.m. But I said before we went to break that there's a guy who is standing up for beard guys everywhere, Frank. And that's Devin Williams of the Yankees. Now, I brought this up last week because I am someone with a beard, and I don't know what I would do if my employer told me I had to shave it because that was their rule. Probably end up shaving it because I need a job, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Well, Devin Williams has always had a beard in his career, and so it was quite strange to see Devin Williams at spring training without a beard. Well, in the Yankees photos that they take, the team photos, he is really, really doing something that I think is going to anger the Steinbrenner people. And he took pictures with a 5 o'clock shadow, just little stubble on his face.
Boom,
and you
boom,
could see,
boom.
I know. You could see the stubble in the picture. You could see the 5 o'clock shadow while he's working out. He said, he was talking, someone asked him about the beard thing. He said, everyone's got an opinion, so it is what it is. I hate that quote. Just say exactly what you think. But I have a feeling there's going to be some internal discipline here. They're very serious about this beard rule. And that, to me, is a beard.
If he grows a beard that quick, they're going to have him shave
every day,
every half inning at this point.
I'm sure that these guys cannot keep up with this whole thing. Michael King, when he first got traded to the team, Tony and I actually had him on the show. And I asked him, because I was lucky and got to talk to Michael King because Chris wasn't here. And I was like, ha, Chris. But I asked him, said, you're a Yankee. You were a Yankee. What did you think about the beard rule? And Michael King said it didn't really bother him because he can't grow a beard anyway. So for him, it's fine. But Dylan Cease, he's going to have an issue. Have you seen Dylan Cease as of late?
I have seen Dylan Cease, yes.
He's got a huge, huge beard. And when I saw him at, FanFest, he was there. And his beard was looking strong at FanFest. And I kind of, sort of, want to grow out my beard the entire season. Not shave it once the entire season. I don't want to commit to that idea because once I do, listeners will never let me hear the end of it if I shave before the end of the year. But I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about growing it out until the end, seeing how long I can get, and then figure it out at the end of the Padres season.
Here's what I'll say. It's such a nonsensical, stupid, antiquated rule that they have. But just keep it neat. Don't look like, I don't want to get his first name wrong, Marsh from Philadelphia.
I
think
just talked about
Brandon,
him
right?
Brandon, yeah, Brandon Marsh.
Don't look like him, but just, you can have it. Just don't look like you just came off of 16th Street.
Well, Brandon Marsh also does something that I can't stand, which is wet his hair like every 3 innings. It's disgusting to me. It's like I've seen him do it, and he just runs around every single day with like soaking wet hair. I don't understand it. I do not understand it.
Putting to bed the whole, you'll get sick if you leave the house with wet hair thing. Your mother never told you that when you were a kid?
That wasn't a problem for me because I didn't live in a place where my hair could freeze.
That's also true.
My mom growing up in Indiana said her hair would freeze sometimes, and she would have to
Fair enough.
figure it out. Everybody's talking about the beard right now. I guess I would need some beard oil. I don't want to commit to it right now. Let me think about it. I have until the season to make a decision about this. It's a big commitment.
Now, are you going to completely shave and then let it grow you go start to finish?
No.
Or are you going to just...
Ooh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that.
That's what I would do. I would shave. If I were to do that, I would shave on the 26th and then let it go all the way to the end of the year.
This right here is about 3 weeks.
Okay.
With a base. So, because I haven't literally shaved my face in 5 years, 6 years. So, I don't know. I don't know how many people are actually interested in this conversation. But Dylan Cease has a great beard. That's why I brought it up. Because his beard is great. Joseph says, you should shave because I'm also curious to see how much you can grow in that time frame.
That's why I said to
steady.
shave it off and then go start to finish.
Katrina says, Skraby's going to look 14 when he shaves it. I am a completely different human being when I shave the beard.
I've never seen you without a beard.
Exactly. I grew up with a kid who his dad, they had never seen him in their 25 years of life without a beard. And then one day he just walked downstairs without a beard and it freaked them out. She said that she thought there was an intruder in the house because it was so different.
I don't think it'd be that different as far as you're concerned, because it's not like you've got the big old Santa beard.
No, but I do look different. I definitely look different. Okay, I got to get all this in because I'm known for teasing things and I never pay off on them. And I hate when I do that. And I remember on the drive home and I'm like, oh.
It's not a good reputation to
have. What a bad host. Telling someone, I promise I'm going to tell you this on the other side, and then I don't. It really bothers me. But here's the tweet that faked everyone out. And it faked me out too. And it came from an account that said In-N-Out Burger. And it said, if you're from California and you don't like In-N-Out and the Dodgers, are you really from California? So originally I looked at this tweet and it looks legit. And I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen from a burger place. You just alienated a lot of people in the state of California because the Dodgers are one team and there's many more teams than the Dodgers. But I'm happy to say, here's my mantra now. It's check the name, check the date. Check the name, check the date. So I check the name, and if you look in the name, it's a little graphic that shows it's fake. So you have to be really careful. The In-N-Out Burger also on the in the handle, it has an underscore at the end. So it's the same handle with an underscore. But I saw a lot of Padres fans getting all crazy on this, and I don't blame them.
As a New Yorker, In-N-Out is mid. It really is.
Frank, we're coming off of last week.
No, it's
with your crazy
good.
opinions.
The burger's fine. The burger's fine. It's not worth waiting in line for 45 minutes for. And the
I don't
fries
think any
just
food is.
The fries just stink.
The fries are an acquired taste. That is for sure. I
good.
like the fries because they're different, but I wouldn't say they're anywhere near my top 10 fries of fast food.
God, no.
Not even close.
It's okay. It's not worth waiting a half hour in line for. I don't understand how people wait in line at In-N-Out for that long. I don't get it.
I'm with you. Every time you go past an In-N-Out Burger, you see the line. I know that Bob Scanlon tries to stop at In-N-Out on the way home from games, and one time it closed on him before he got to the front of the line.
That's just rude.
That is very hurtful to Bob Scanlon. I understand why you wouldn't wait. I'm not saying that it's to the point where you have to wait 45 minutes for a burger. In the end, In-N-Out is a fast food restaurant.
Yes. By the way, yes, Gonzo and OB, I do like In-N-Out more than I like the Dodgers. A lot more than I like the Dodgers.
Well, there we go. We're making progress. We're, you know what? Skraby Show.
I thought
mending relationships all over the world.
I thought that was implied, but I was asked to say it. So yes, that I thought it was obvious, but yes, I do like In-N-Out more than I like the Dodgers. A lot more than I like the Dodgers.
Good.
I like In-N-Out. I like In-N-Out fries more than I like the Dodgers. How about that one?
Wow,
Clear
that's
enough?
even better. I like it. All right, mending fences. We're back, everybody. But yeah, if you got fooled by that in and out post, don't worry. A lot of other people did too. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny when you think for a second that in and out was like, we're Dodgers fans. It's pretty dumb.
Jax is starting stuff in the chat now.
With what?
He said, "Do I like In and Out more than I like the Nick Pivetta contract?" Don't start, bud.
That is funny. We're gonna leave that Nick Pivetta thing in the past because it ruffled some feathers. I had a good talking to with Frank after the show. Said, Frank,
I had a good talking to with a couple people after the show.
Really?
Apparently.
wow, I didn't realize that. Okay. Interesting. We're going to have to talk about that a little bit later then. All right. I need to get into this last story, and I don't really have a lot of time, but I did talk about it. Jonathan Martin, he played for the Dolphins. He was an offensive lineman back in like 2012. And there was this whole thing where he felt like he was being bullied at the time. This is the story. He felt like he was being bullied by other Dolphins players, other offensive linemen, mainly he was being bullied by Richie Incognito, which Richie Incognito was then suspended. Richie Incognito was then put through the ringer. Not saying he's a perfect guy by any stretch of the imagination, and he even admits that as well. But he's going after Mike Florio, and he's going after ESPN because he's been waiting for this story to finally gain traction so that he can prove to everyone, it wasn't my thing. Like, Jonathan Martin lied about this. And so what, in the end, in like a really quick version of this story, Jonathan Martin said that, yes, there were some things that happened while I was with the Dolphins that weren't the greatest towards me. But basically, my mom took it too far. And she didn't understand that the bullying was actually just within a football team. It's things that happen within a football team. And so Richie Incognito wrote to this Miami Herald person writing the article, it took him 10 years to tell the truth, which I am with Richie Incognito. His life was ruined.
Well, 13 years.
His life was ruined.
Yes.
Maybe it was 2015 then, if it was 10 years ago. But he's going after Mike Florio because Mike Florio is a guy who goes hard in the paint on people and his opinion on people. And Mike Florio went hard in the paint on this. My long story short in this whole thing, and I hope to talk a little bit more about it tomorrow on Gwen and Chris, but the moral of the story is we got to start looking into these things more, because this whole 144-page report that was made, it was falsified. The stories weren't true. And we're seeing a lot of this more and more where people are claiming things have happened and the person that they're claiming it against didn't actually do it. And so now they have to deal with the repercussions of everything that happens in life.
Yeah.
From someone lying, and that's where I can't really stand by it.
No, you can't. It's
because
obscene.
I will give Jonathan Martin this. He's willing to do this on a public stage, and he's willing to put himself. He's willing to admit that he had some wrongs that he needs to make a right. Still doesn't give Richie Incognito his last 10 years.
But if it's not getting any traction, if it's not becoming another story on ESPN,
well, yeah,
as like a make good story, then it wasn't really out in public.
Because the only people that know about this are the ones that saw this story or the ones that are listening right now.
Exactly.
But for the most part, people are like, oh, when they hear Richie Incognito's name, he's a jerk. Anyway, I didn't get enough time to spend on that, but we're not going to do a Daily Gripe open because I know we got to get to the end of the show. The Daily Gripe, though, is Frank. I'm just kidding, Frank.
What the heck did I do?
I'm just kidding. My Daily Gripe is something I'm going to save it for tomorrow. We just don't have enough time to get into it. It's something that I want to set up a little bit more. So I'm
Talk
sorry.
about starting something you're not going to
I
finish.
know. I told Frank in the break what the Daily Gripe was, but we need more time. We only have 15 seconds left, and Sammy Lev is going to be joining us from Peoria. I could never, Frank, cut into the Sammy Lev 2 hours of power.
Trust me, him and I will both thank you. It's
Okay. All right. Hit 2, 1. Good night. Skraby here, and we're